Good afternoon. This is StayTunedSandusky.com. I'm Matt Westerhold, and this is one of our election 2025 interviews with Robert Ritzer, a candidate for Sandusky Municipal Court judge. Thank you for being on Between the Lines, Mr. Ritzer.
No problem, no problem.
Tell me a little bit about your background.
I've been with the Erie County Public Defender's Office for about the last 12, 13 years. Started in 2013. I've handled a lot of different dockets in that time. Primarily, the court I've practiced most in is Sandusky Municipal Court, but I was a juvenile public defender for many years. I've done a full common pleas docket. I like Kelpie. I was the Children's Services public defender for many years. So I think I'm the only public defender who's practiced in every court that our office covers.
And how did you become inspired to want to be a lawyer and a criminal defense lawyer at that?
I knew I wanted to be a lawyer from a very young age. I think I was probably third or fourth grade. I kept telling people that I wanted to be a lawyer. And I think a lot of that was, I've always had a very analytical, viewpoint in school. I've liked arguing. I've liked, debating. Picking apart people's arguments and making my own. So it's something I think I was always naturally good at. And I never really got off that track. I decided very early on I wanted to do it, and the more I learned about law school when I was in high school and later undergrad, I never wanted to do anything else. And then,
go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, then when I got into law school, I knew very early on I wanted to work in criminal law and probably most likely as a public defender.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, I've kind of always been a fan of underdogs. I think that's what public defenders a lot of times, are those kind of people. I know that everybody needs a defense in court. Some of that comes from my family. My father was a Vietnam War veteran. When he came back from the war, he had a lot of trauma that he dealt with from the war. He got in trouble with the law a lot, in his early part of his life. And he eventually put a lot of that stuff behind him. But I think I always had a respect for people that you can be charged with a crime. You can even have been, convicted of a crime. It doesn't mean you're a bad person. And so just all of that kind of made me want to work with people in a criminal law standpoint, and most likely with people who are underserved.
And you got your undergraduate degree from Youngstown State University.
That's correct.
And your Juris Doctorate from Capital University?
Yep, that's correct.
And how does having been a public defender, from that viewpoint as a public defender, how does that translate into making you a better candidate for municipal court judge?
I think it's all about viewpoint. When you're a judge, obviously you have to be the central, magistrate. You have to be neutral. You have to be detached. But once you've determined whether or not somebody's committed a crime, the biggest part about being a municipal court judge is you have to modify that person's behavior. That's or at least my philosophy on being a judge is, people who come in front of you that have committed crimes, what do we have to do to make them not commit crimes in the future? And being a public defender, I've had over 6,000 cases in my career. So that means I've talked to 6,000 people, not only them, their families, mothers, wives, husbands. And so I think I understand the people who come in front of the court a lot better than most people would. And you can't solve somebody's problem if you don't understand why they're happening in the first place. So I think that's probably the single biggest reason why I'd be a very good candidate and why I'd be a very good judge.
And you've practiced in municipal court. What are your thoughts about Judge O'Brien? He's stepping down. He's forced retirement.
Yes, he's aged out. Once you turn 70, you can't run for another term as judge, and he's 73 now. I would say that I would definitely be a judge a lot in his mold. Things I've liked about Judge O'Brien is he always seems to see the person in front of him, not the crime. He's also very much, he was a public defender as well, so I think he has that viewpoint where he's always looking to, what do we need to do to solve this person's problems? those are the things that I've learned practicing in front of him. I think I've had, about 3,000 cases where he's been the judge in. And so he's definitely a mentor and he's definitely an influence in how my judicial philosophies come to be. There are things that definitely need to change about the court. Love Judge O'Brien, but the court definitely needs to embrace technology more. We need to get through cases quicker. Cases languish in Sandusky Municipal Court too long. I think last year about 48% of the misdemeanor cases were over judicial timing guidelines. And the way that we impact that is that we embrace technology. We have better case management software. We embrace things like e-filing, like electronic communications, electronic court hearings, where we can be a lot more efficient with our time, and that'll help us cut down on those backlogs, I believe.
So, as far as changing the court, your number one priority is modernization, automation?
I wouldn't say it's my number one priority. I think it's the way that we solve that specific problem. My number one priority, becoming a judge, is to cut down on the amount of crime there is in Sandusky. And sometimes in order to do that, you have to put people in jail. That's part of being a municipal court judge. But the main part of being a judge is what do you do with somebody when they get out of jail? And so my number one priority is connecting defendants, people convicted of crimes, with all the resources in the community that they need in order to be successful in life and not come back in front of the court.
And, Mr. Ritzer, you're married?
I am. I married my wife 10 years ago this past January in Sandusky Municipal Court. Judge Eric O'Brien did the wedding. If you ever get a chance to look at do one of his ceremonies, he did a very good job for me, and he's he's got a nice spiel, put it that way. But yeah, we've been married for 10 years. I have 3 sons, 7, 5, and 3. All of them go to Sandusky City schools. Well, I should say the youngest one's in preschool now. He'll start kindergarten probably early preschool next year.
And what other changes would you make to the court if you're elected?
I think that there definitely needs to be a refocusing of resources. I would love to see the probation department built out a little bit more. Right now it's just one person, and a court that has the docket the size of Sandusky Municipal Court needs to put more resources into the probation department. Some of that is going to be, taking resources from other places in the court. Some of that's going to be writing grants, getting more money into the courts. But that's a big priority of mine, is to build out that probation department so that we can connect people with the services that they need in order to not come back in front of the court.
And how are you campaigning for this election?
My biggest focus has been going door to door. I'd have to go check my stats. I set a goal of hitting 10,000 doors in Sandusky, and I know I've achieved that. I'm probably getting closer to 11 or 12,000 doors, and I'm a little bit old school when it comes to politics. I think if you want to be elected, you owe it to your constituents to go out, to look at them face to face, eye to eye, explain why they should vote for you. And so while I've done advertising, and I'm sure some of you have seen me out in events, I've been trying to be as available as possible, but the biggest focus of my campaign has been going door to door, talking to registered voters and explaining why they should vote for me.
And what was there? Have you been surprised by some of the reaction that you've gotten from residents, or is there something someone told you that it just threw you back, or that you didn't know was on someone's mind, or surprised you?
Anytime you've knocked as many doors as I have, you have good experiences and bad experiences. I think that's one thing that surprised me, was how few bad experiences that I had. I've gotten the door slammed in my face once or twice. I'm intruding on people's personal space, and I never take it personally. But the amount of people who were mean was extremely low. I can count it on one hand out of the many thousands that I've done. So that part that surprised me. I think that people are a little worried in politics now. I talk to a lot of people who don't like the way things are going. Some of that's at a national level, but some at a local level too. So I've tried to tell people how I want to make things better. Keep things the same that need to stay the same, change things that need to change, and I think I've gotten very positive feedback from that.
And when you see a voter, what is it that you tell them? Why should they vote for you?
Number one, I've got the experience to do this job. Like I said before, I've handled 6,000 cases, over 3,000 of those in Sandusky Municipal Court. I don't believe there's anybody eligible to run for this judgeship who has that type of experience in that court, who's talked to as many people charged with crimes in that court as I have. And so that gives me the base level of understanding that you need to be a judge. The other reason I say is that, if you know Judge O'Brien, if you like his judicial philosophy, then I think you would like me as a judge. Like I said, he's a mentor of mine. He's somebody that I respect. And while we're different people with different viewpoints on specific circumstances, I definitely count him as an influence on how I would try to approach the court, and its job. The last thing I'll put out there has been one of my big priorities or policy points is I want to start the area's first Veterans Court. Veterans Court is a specialty docket, much like drug courts that we have here already in Sandusky. But instead of people addicted to drugs, you take specifically veterans, you create a treatment team around them that's pulled from all manners of services in the area: drug and alcohol treatment, veterans affairs, mental health treatment, police, public defenders, prosecutors. You create a team around them that make individualized treatment plans, with the idea that you put a little bit of work on the front end of people who are having trouble adjusting to civilian life, so you don't have to spend resources on the back end when they come in front of the court. And again, my dad, a big influence of why I consider that a very important part of my judicial philosophy.
And how quickly will you implement change if you're elected? You mentioned the probation department. How quickly do you think you could gear up the probation department?
As quickly as possible. Some of it obviously is a matter of resources and budgets. Obviously the budget for next fiscal year is most likely set in stone. But the judge is the one who controls that. So obviously things that I could do during this year, I would do. Money that could be moved around. There will be some turnover in positions that happen naturally. So we'll be able to refocus resources a little bit in that area. And then certainly for next year, when I have full control of the budget, I'll know where every dollar and cent is going to go, and I'm going to put it in the right place that it needs to get the maximum amount of effect.
And making the court more efficient will be one of your top priorities?
Exactly. That's something I think we can change immediately. Certainly things like technology upgrades need time and need grants or need resources put into them. But just increasing the amount of cases that we hear. Sandusky Municipal Court doesn't really do afternoon dockets that much. I'm not somebody who likes to leave things for the next day. I would increase the amount of cases that we're handling per week in order to get through that backlog as quickly as possible. That could happen on day one.
What else do you want voters to know? This is Between the Lines. I'm Matt Westerl with StayTunedSandusky.com. This Between the Lines is brought to you by Serving Our Seniors, working today for a healthier tomorrow. What else do you want voters to know about why they should vote for you?
I want voters to know that if they elect me, they are going to get somebody who works tirelessly. I've met with every single leader of every law enforcement agency that the court covers. I told them that I will be a 24-hour-a-day judge. Every single cop in Sandusky will be able to contact me if they have questions about how to handle a certain situation that they're dealing with. The jail will have my phone number that they can call if they have questions about people who need to be held or released. And every single detective, whether that's Perkins, Sandusky, the sheriff's office, can come if it's 2 a.m. on a Sunday or 5 o'clock in the evening on a Tuesday, I will be there to sign search warrants, and there will never be a time that I'm unavailable. And if there is, I will make sure that somebody's there to help them.
All right. Well, Mr. Ritzer, I want to thank you for being on Between the Lines. Between the Lines is brought to you by Erie County Health Department, working today for a healthier tomorrow. Sandusky Municipal Court candidate Robert Ritzer. Thank you for being on Between the Lines.
Thank you, Matt.
You're welcome.
I
Good to
enjoyed
see
it.
you, sir.